I'd Rather Be Reading by the Foundation of Monroe County Community Schools, illustrated by Jenna Crosby. This storybook was generously printed by our friends at Metropolitan Printing. I'd Rather Be Reading. This book is dedicated to every student enrolled in an MCCSC school. It was a sunny Saturday morning in Bloomington, Indiana. Mr. Page was cooking eggs. Mrs. Page was reading the Herald-Times newspaper. It says here that 30% of the third graders in MCCSC schools are not reading at grade level, said Mrs. Page. "Oh my!" exclaimed Mr. Page. He was surprised. Mr. and Mrs. Page were very sad that some children could not read well. "How can we help?" Mrs. Page asked her husband. "I have an idea!" cried Mr. Page. "This New Year's Eve, instead of going out, let's stay home and read with our children. We can give the money we would have spent to help all the boys and girls in MCCSC schools." "What a great idea!" replied Mrs. Page. "This New Year's Eve, I'd rather be reading." On December 31st, when many others were going out to parties, Mr. and Mrs. Page were happy to stay home with their children and their dog Spine. Mrs. Page was happy because she did not have to put on a fancy dress and wear high-heeled shoes. Mr. Page was even happier because he did not have to put on a coat and tie. Even Spine the dog was happy because he was not home alone this New Year's Eve. The entire Page family was excited to stay home together and read on New Year's Eve. The end. Happy New Year! For this New Year's Eve, the Foundation of Monroe County Community Schools invites you to join Mr. and Mrs. Page to I'd Rather Be Reading, a stay-at-home event. All proceeds will go toward improving literacy in all MCCSC schools. All donations of $100 or more will receive a special New Year's Eve stay-at-home kit. In a season filled with too much to do, the I'd Rather Be Reading event asks you to take some time for yourself and your loved ones. Help us ring in the new year by embracing this unique fundraising non-event. I'd Rather Be Reading ticket sales will support K-12 literacy programs in the MCCSC. Your tax-deductible donation will be used to change the lives of our students. Funds will provide additional books and programs to inspire and enhance learning. Get connected with the Page family and tell us about your reading adventures on New Year's Eve.